Thank you for purchasing a Gibraltar buttress-free oval pool from Atlantic Pools. To help you enjoy years of trouble-free service, please read the entire instruction manual and watch this video before beginning the installation process. It contains important information that's critical to completing a successful installation. Do not attempt to install your pool on concrete, asphalt, sand, gravel, peat moss, wood, or chemically treated soil. However, if you live in an area where nutgrass is prevalent, contact your pool dealer for further instructions. Avoid overhanging trees, power lines, or clotheslines, and check to ensure your pool is not on top of buried telephone, cable TV, water, power, or sewer lines. Local municipalities may also have regulations you must follow in determining pool location, so be sure to check with local officials. Choose a large area of your yard that's as level as possible. The pool must be installed on dry, firm, undisturbed earth. Avoid areas with poor drainage. You'll need these tools and equipment: a flat shovel or spade, a sturdy garden rake, a hammer or mallet, several long metal spikes or eaves trough nails, 3 2x2 stakes about 6 inches or 15 centimeters long, a ball of sturdy cord or twine, a 4-foot carpenter's level, 2 tape measures at least 15 feet or 5 meters long, a can of spray paint with a vertical nozzle, a roll of duct tape, a number 3 Phillips screwdriver or power drill with a Phillips bit, a surveyor's transit, and a length of straight 2x4. You will also need sufficient 1-inch or 1.5-inch, 25 or 38 millimeter thick styrofoam sheets or brick sand to cover the pool bottom, a quantity of crushed limestone, and several small patio stones. Preparing the pool foundation is the most critical step in the installation process. Take your time and double-check all your measurements as you work. Ground preparation diagrams appear on pages 3, 4, and 5 in section 1 of your manual. Be sure you're using the diagram that matches your pool size. We'll be installing a 15 by 30 foot oval. Generally, you'll be placing the pool parallel to another structure, like the house or a deck. Measure out from this structure a distance of at least dimension W of your drawing, in our case 114 inches or 290 centimeters. Using 2 metal pegs and a length of string longer than your pool, mark out the center line of your pool. Determine the position of one end of your pool and measure back from that spot along the string a distance equal to dimension S on your drawing. In our case, that's 102 inches or 259 centimeters. Place a metal peg in the ground at this point. Now measure from that peg the distance P in your drawing. That's 180 inches or 457 centimeters for our pool. Place another stake into the ground at this point. Tie one end of a piece of string around your paint can. Now measure the string from the nozzle of the can, the length found in the chart on page 6 of step 1 in your instruction guide. For our pool, it's 102 inches or 259 centimeters. Tie the string to one of the metal pegs at this length. Keeping the string taut, paint a semicircle on the ground. Now move the string to the second peg and repeat this process. Join the 2 semicircles with a straight line at their outside edges to form an oval. You can use pegs and string to mark this line and to use as a guide as you spray paint. This oval marks the approximate location of your pool. Evaluate this location now and make any adjustments to ensure the pool is in the exact location you desire. Measure to the exact center between the 2 pegs on the center line. In our case, that's 90 inches or 229 centimeters. Drive a 2x2 stake into the ground at this point, approximately level with the sod. Make a pencil-marked X on the top of the stake from corner to corner to mark the exact center of the stake. Replace the 2 metal pegs with wooden stakes, driving them about the same depth into the ground. Measure out from one of the 2 outside stakes a distance equal to dimension W on your layout drawing, which in our case is 114 inches or 290 centimeters. Mark this spot with a metal peg. Do the same from the other stake and join these pegs with a string. Using the string as a guide, spray paint along this horizontal line and join the ends with the painted circles. Repeat this process on the other side of the pool. This marks out the entire foundation area of your pool. You must remove all the sod and vegetation from this area. A sod cutter, which can be rented from your local equipment rental store, makes this task much easier. Be careful not to dislodge the 3 wooden stakes. Now check the area and remove any stones, roots, or sticks. This entire area now must be made level to within 1 inch or 25 millimeters end to end. We're using a surveyor's transit for this job, but there is an alternative method. Select a straight 2x4 of the correct length, as determined in the chart on page 7 of section 1, which in our case is 102 inches or 259 centimeters. Nail a 3 to 4 inch nail into the bottom edge of the 2x4 at one end and cut off the nail head. Place a 4-foot carpenter's level on the edge of this 2x4 and hold it in place with duct tape. Drill a small hole in the center of each stake, just large enough to accept the cut-off nail. Determine the spot of lowest elevation of the pool area and drive the stake closest to that low area down until it's flush with the ground. Insert the nail from the 2x4 into the stake. Place the other end of the 2x4 on the lowest spot and check the level. Now remove the soil from beneath the 2x4 and drive the stake into the ground until you get a level reading. Place the end of the 2x4 on the next stake. Adjust this stake and remove soil from beneath the 2x4 until again you have a level reading. Move the nail to the next stake. Place the 2x4 on the remaining stake and adjust that stake or remove soil from beneath the 2x4 until you have a level reading. With all your stakes at the same depth, it's time to level the rest of the earth. Place the nail in the 2x4 in any of the stakes. Swing the board around in a circle, scraping away the soil as you do until there is a level reading. Remember, you must remove soil from higher areas, not add soil to lower areas. You can fill in small ruts or stone holes, tamping the area down firmly, but you cannot build up low areas because this will create an unsafe foundation. When the circle is level, move the board to the next stake and repeat the process. Take your time and to make sure the area is completely level. Finally, move the board to the last stake and again swing the board around, scraping away soil as you go until the area is level. Now make the wide horizontal areas of the oval level with the 3 circles. Recheck the outer 12 inches or 30 centimeters where the bottom edge of the pool wall will sit to ensure it has no high or low spots. Now we need to add corner pegs, as indicated in diagram 23 on page 9 of section 1. We're using long eaves trough nails. Use 2 measuring tapes for this step. From one of the end stakes, measure the distance of dimension X. That's 90 inches or 229 centimeters for our pool. From the center stake, measure distance Y, which for us is 127¼ inches or 323 centimeters. Where these 2 measurements intersect on the inside of the tape measures, insert a metal peg. Repeat this process from the other end stake, and then again on the other side of the pool, until you have the 4 corner pegs D, E, F, and G located. Again, measure out from one end stake the distance W, which in our case is 114 inches or 290 centimeters. Then measure out from the center stake distance Z, for us 145¼ inches or 369 centimeters. Place a peg where these measurements cross on your 2 tapes. Repeat this step to add the other 3 outer pegs. Join pegs D and E with a piece of string, and then join pegs F and G. Now across the width of the pool, join pegs H and K with a length of string, and pegs I and J, then pegs H and I, and J and K. Along the string joining pegs H and I, measure in from one of the pegs the distance that matches dimension M in the chart on page 10 of section 1. For our 15 by 30 foot pool, that's 30.5 inches or 77 centimeters. Place a peg under the string at that location. Do the same using the string joining pegs J and K on the other side of the pool. Now join these two new pegs with a string. This marks the center line of the buttress trenches required on the horizontal sides. Mark the center line for buttress trenches on the other side of the horizontal area using the same steps you just performed. A 12 by 18 pool only has one buttress on each side. A 15 by 24 pool has two trenches exactly 48 inches or 122 centimeters apart. However, a 12 by 24 pool, our pool, a 15 by 30, and the 18 by 33 pool all require a third trench. To determine the center line for this buttress trench, measure from the new pegs you just installed a distance equal to dimension N on the chart on page 10, which is 59.5 inches or 151 centimeters. This distance should be identical when you measure from either set of pegs. Join the new pegs with a length of string. Your layout should now look like this. Now we'll mark an area for excavating the trenches. Mark the center line of the trenches with spray paint by spraying along the strings. From the string joining pegs D and E or F and G, measure back into the pool a distance of 36 inches or 91 centimeters. Mark the ground 3 inches or 75 millimeters on both sides of the center line. Then measure 4 inches or 10 centimeters to the outside of the pool from the string joining the corner pegs and mark the ground 3 inches or 75 millimeters on both sides of the center line. Using the 2x4 as a straight edge, join these marks with the first ones you made. Now measure 10 inches or 25.5 centimeters on both sides of the center line and mark the earth with a screwdriver or metal peg. Measure to the outside of the pool wall an additional 20 inches or 51 centimeters and again mark the soil 10 inches or 25.5 centimeters on both sides. Join all your marks to form a square. Repeat this for all the other buttress trenches you have marked and excavate the trenches to a depth of 5.5 inches or 14 centimeters. Dig carefully so as to avoid disturbing the ground around the edges of the trenches. Spread crushed limestone into the excavated trenches to a depth of 3/4 of an inch or 19 millimeters. Dampen lightly with water and tamp the limestone firmly into the bottom of each trench. Replace the strings joining pegs D and E and F and G. Place a 12 by 12 inch or 30 by 30 centimeter patio stone 2 inches or 5 centimeters thick into the wide part of each trench. The front edge of the patio stone must be exactly 4 inches or 10 centimeters from the pool wall line marked by the string, and the patio stone must be level. Ensuring the patio stone is still 4 inches or 10 centimeters from the pool wall, pack crushed limestone to a depth of 1 inch or 25 millimeters around the patio stone and down the trench. Measure from the string into the pool a distance of exactly 32 inches or 81 centimeters. Put in enough crushed limestone, slightly dampened, to create an even slope from this point exactly up to the surface of the patio stone. To check whether you have created these trenches properly, you'll require one base U-channel. The base U-channel has a continuous metal flange, while the upright channels have a section of this flange cut away. Place the base U-channel in the trench and line up the end of the channel with the outside edge of the patio stone. Measure down the base channel a distance of 45.25 inches or 115 centimeters. Use a marker to indicate this measurement on the base channel. Use the chart on page 12 of section 1 of the manual to select the proper size of wooden block to use. For our pool, we need a piece of wood 1 inch or 25 millimeters thick, placed exactly on the line we marked. Now place a 4-foot carpenter's level on the base channel, exactly aligned with the end of the channel, and rest it on the block of wood. If the trench is built correctly, you will have a perfectly level reading. In addition, the channel will be exactly level with the ground at the point where it passes under the string joining pegs D and E or F and G. If it's not, Remove the base channel and adjust the patio stone and limestone until these conditions are met. Now it's time to assemble the buttresses. Place 2 T-plates and an L plate together as shown, making sure you have the radiused edges of the T-plates facing away from the open side of the upright U-channel. Lay these plates over the base channel and fasten loosely with 1-inch bolts and nuts through all the holes in the upright. The bolts go in from the outside and the nuts go on the inside just finger tight. Repeat this on the other side of the upright U-channel. Insert the upright U-channel with plates attached into a base channel, making sure the open side of the upright faces the longer portion of the base U-channel. Insert bolts through the base U-channel and plates from the outside, with the nuts again fastened just finger tight on the inside. Now with a 3/8-inch socket or open-end wrench, tighten the nuts and bolts in this fashion. Pressing the T and L plates tightly against the upright, tighten the 8 bolts on each side of the upright. Next, tighten the 4 bolts on each side of the base channel, which are closest to the long end of the channel. As you tighten them, be certain to leave a 1/16 of an inch or 2 mm gap under the tab at the bottom of each vertical U-channel to accommodate the bottom rails. Now tighten all the remaining nuts and bolts securely and assemble all the other buttresses in the same manner. Place the assembled buttress into the buttress channel, aligning the back edge of the patio stone with the end of the U-channel. You may want to prop up the base channel temporarily as you complete the next few steps. Find the buttress base rails in your hardware kit. These rails are color-coded or identified by part number specifically for your pool size. Insert a buttress rail between each set of uprights. Notice that the closed square side of the rail, not the grooved side, slides into the notch at each buttress upright. Fill the base U-channels and the trenches they sit in with crushed limestone. Ensure the space under the end of the base U-channel is filled with material. While standing on the base U-channel, lightly dampen the crushed limestone and tamp down tightly. Don't tamp too hard to avoid moving the buttress. Recheck the distance between each base channel to ensure they are properly aligned. This measurement should match dimension N in the chart on page 10 of section 1, which is 59.5 inches or 151 centimeters for our pool. Add a small piece of duct tape to the top edges of the verticals. This will prevent the upright from scratching the paint on the pool wall as you install it. Mark out an area 16 inches or 41 centimeters wide on both sides of the buttress trenches and excavate this area down to exactly even with the top edge of the buttress base U-channel. Also dig a shallow trench 3 inches or 8 centimeters wide to the depth of the end of the base U-channel from one side of the pool to the other. Drag one of the hold-down plates along the top edge of the buttress base U-channel to ensure the soil in the excavated area is completely even. If not, add a bit of crushed limestone tamped down and check again with the hold-down plate until the area is even. Slide 4 nut clips onto the end of each base channel so that the clips line up over the holes in the base channel and the threaded part of the nut clip points down. Place one end of a hold-down strap on top of a strap bracket. Place 4 3/4 inch bolts through the strap and the center holes of the strap bracket and fasten with 4 nuts underneath the bracket. Tighten with a 1/4 inch socket or wrench. Place the assembled strap and bracket over the end of the buttress base channel. Thread 4 bolts through the strap bracket into the nut clips and tighten snugly. Do not over-tighten these bolts. Now connect the other end of the strap in the same manner and repeat for all the other hold-down straps. Spread 3/4 of an inch or 19 millimeters of crushed limestone into the area you excavated along the buttress trench. Do not put any material over the base channel. Position a hold-down plate over the base U-channel so that the bolt heads in the strap and strap bracket are covered by the first 2 grooves of the hold-down plate. Applying downward pressure on the hold-down plate, shift the plate back and forth until it rests tightly against the top of the base U-channel. Check to see that the outside ends of the hold-down plate are completely filled with crushed limestone, and fill any voids you see. Filling these voids will prevent low spots forming around the hold-down plates when the pool is filled with water. Fasten the plate to the base U-channel by lining up the holes and using 2 self-tapping screws. Take the second hold-down plate and overlap the first flange of this plate with the first flange of the plate you've already installed. Use the same back and forth motion to fill the voids with crushed limestone. Fill any voids around the edge of the plate and fasten with 2 self-tapping screws. Complete this step for all the other base channels. If your pool, like ours, has 3 buttresses, you'll have to remove the middle stake and fill the hole with compacted material. Leave the 2 end stakes for the time being. Join the straps you've installed with additional straps to join the 2 sides of the pool. Put the bolt heads through the top of the straps and the nuts underneath. Cover all the bolt heads in the straps and hold-down plates with strips of duct tape. Locate the transition rails. These are color-coded or identified by part number specifically for your pool size. The transition rails are the first rails that attach to the buttress verticals on the round ends of the pool. Slide the closed square end of the rail into the notch in the vertical with the grooved side up. Add a base plate. The rail slides into the plate with the wide side of the plate facing away from the pool. Insert an end rail into the other side of the plate. Leave a 1/2 inch or 13 mm gap between the rails. These rails are identified by part number. You can keep the rails from slipping out of the plates by bending 1/8 inch or 3 mm of the lip outwards with a pair of pliers. When you have all the base rails and base plates installed, mark an area under each base plate, approximately 12 by 12 inches, 30 by 30 centimeters. You will build a crushed limestone pad or place a patio stone in the ground under each base plate to add stability to the pool wall. Set the base plate assembly aside and begin installing the crushed limestone pads or patio stones. These pads must be level with the surrounding earth. Use a surveyor's transit to ensure each pad or patio stone is level with the next, or check the level using a 2x4 and carpenter's level. Then reassemble the rails and base plates. If you're installing a styrofoam base, now's the time to measure and cut the styrofoam sheets. Slide the ends under the base rails so you can easily mark the radius. Then cut the sheets, marking the location of each sheet so it can be easily reassembled later. Remove all the pieces of styrofoam. Locate the vertical clips. These are joined together in left and right pairs. Gently snap them apart. The clips are marked with an L or R to distinguish them. These are fastened to each base U-channel. Left is to the left of each vertical upright as you face into the pool. Use a cordless drill to fasten the clips to the base U-channel with 2 self-tapping screws. Use the pair of holes marked A for most pools. Consult diagrams 15 and 16 on page 3 of section 2 of your manual for directions on when to use the pair of holes marked B. To check, place one of the vertical columns over the clips. If it doesn't fit, move the clips to the other set of holes. Cover all excavated areas with enough crushed limestone, tamped lightly, to bring it up level with the surrounding soil. If you're using sand for your pool bottom, remove one section of base rail and bring in a load of sand sufficient to cover the bottom to a depth of about 2 inches or 5 centimeters. Don't spread the sand all the way to the base rails yet, but smooth it out enough to ensure you have sufficient sand to do the job. Do not attempt to install the pool wall on a windy day, and if possible, get several neighbors or friends to help. Start by spreading the liner out in the sun in a secure place. This will help you remove the wrinkles later, but be careful not to leave it in the sun too long to avoid scorching the grass underneath. Put 2 pieces of plywood or heavy cardboard in the end of the pool where the filter and pump are to be located. Place the rolled up pool wall on the cardboard. Look for the "This Way Up" label and arrow. Cut the packing strap, being careful not to scratch the pool wall, and begin uncoiling the roll. This will loosen the coil and make it easier to unwind. To help the wall fit more easily into the base rails at the buttress verticals, use a screwdriver to bend the outer edges open slightly. Begin on one of the round ends, rather than the horizontal sides, selecting the end where you want the pool filter and pump located. The end of the wall must be centered over a base plate in order to conceal the joint behind one of the verticals. It's a good idea to have one person hold the end of the wall in position while the rest of the wall is installed. But you can use a ladder and a length of duct tape to hold this section upright while you install the remainder of the wall. The top of the wall should be covered by slotted tubes as you proceed. These are color-coded or identified by part number specifically for your pool size. Use transition tubes over the transition base rails and end tubes over the end rails. These tubes are color-coded or identified by part number. Slotted transition and end tubes are left about 1/2 inch 13 mm apart and are joined using a 6 inch 15 cm metal slotted tube connector centered over the base plate. Slide the connector over one tube and slide the other tube into the connector. Continue to work around the pool, uncoiling the pool wall and relocating the pieces of plywood or cardboard as necessary. Keep slipping the wall into the base rail and adding slotted tubes as you go. On the horizontal sides, the transition tube and buttress tubes should be left about 4 inches 10 centimeters apart, and they are joined by a plastic tube connector that goes inside rather than outside the 2 tubes. The same applies where 2 buttress tubes meet. At the buttress verticals, temporarily hold the wall to the vertical with a length of duct tape. When you have uncoiled the entire wall, you may find that the ends overlap too much or don't quite meet. Gently tap the base plates from the inside with your foot to spread out the round ends slightly if the wall overlaps, or from the outside to tighten up the round ends if there is a space. Examine the gap between base rails at each base plate. Ensure it's approximately 1/2 inch 13 mm. It may be necessary to remove the wall and redistribute it to do this. When you have the wall ends aligned, place a screwdriver through the holes near the bottom to maintain the alignment. Join the wall ends with a bolt and nut through each hole. The bolt heads go on the pool side of the wall and the nuts on the outside. Tighten each nut and bolt securely, being careful not to strip the bolt heads, which could leave a metal burr and damage your liner. Cover the bolt heads with several strips of duct tape. After securing the last of the slotted tubes, check once again to ensure the pool wall is completely level. If not, remove the wall and re-level the base frame. Now install the styrofoam pieces you have prepared for the base, covering all the seams with duct tape. If you are using a sand bottom, rake out the sand inside the pool to a uniform depth right up to the base rail, and use a straight 2x4 and carpenter's level to make it as smooth as possible. Whether you use sand or styrofoam, you must construct a cove of brick sand around the inside bottom of the pool wall. This is an important part of the pool's structure because it redistributes the pressure of the water on the bottom edge of the pool wall. The cove should be about 8 inches or 20 centimeters wide and 6 inches or 15 centimeters high. Where the buttress uprights make the pool wall scallop slightly, this cove will be a little narrower and a little shorter to maintain the horizontal line of the cove. Pack the brick sand firmly into shape and smooth it out evenly. Next, install the wall saver gasket around the skimmer cutout. Gently spread apart the 2 layers of the gasket, being very careful not to tear or damage the seam, and insert it so that it sandwiches the pool wall. Hold it in place temporarily with pieces of duct tape. Temporarily seal the skimmer hole on the outside with a piece of cardboard and lengths of duct tape. Prepare the liner by stretching it out fully, smooth side down. Fold the liner up along its horizontal length, working from both sides to the middle. Carry the folded liner to the pool and position it in the middle of the pool. Drape the liner over the wall. Temporarily hold it in place by attaching short lengths of the plastic coping. Working your way around the pool, keep draping the liner over the wall, letting it hang slack. Once the liner is draped over the edge of the entire wall, adjust its position until the seams are evenly positioned around the pool and fasten it in place with the flexible coping. Insert the hose from an industrial or shop vacuum through the round return hole to within 8 or 10 inches, 20 or 25 centimeters of the sand cove, and seal around the hose with duct tape. This vacuum is used to remove wrinkles from the liner. Be certain it is properly grounded and not operated on wet or damp ground. Now start the shop vac. What this does is draw the air out from between the pool wall and the liner. Take a soft bristled broom and gently tap the liner on the lower portion against the wall just above the cove. This helps bring the liner tighter to the wall and center it in the pool. Keep the vacuum running and start to fill the pool with water. It may be necessary to remove pieces of coping and readjust the liner to ensure all the wrinkles are removed. When the water has reached 6 or 8 inches, 15 to 20 centimeters, stop the vacuum and remove the hose and duct tape. Now reinstall the coping completely, carefully cutting the final piece to avoid any overlap. Do not put in any more than 8 inches, 20 centimeters of water until the vertical columns and top rails are attached. Line up the bottom of a column with the small tabs on a base plate. Fasten the column to the tabs using self-tapping screws. Hook a top plate over the edge of the pool wall and lower it down onto the top of the vertical column with the tabs of the top plate on the outside of the column. Use a level or the ridges of the pool wall to ensure the vertical is straight up and down, and fasten the top plate to the column with 3 self-tapping screws. At the buttresses, the vertical columns are fastened over the top of the left and right vertical clips which you installed earlier. Roll up any liner that hangs below the coping, rolling it to the inside as shown. This will prevent water being trapped in the rolled up liner, which could cause unwelcome odors. Carefully tuck it over the top cutout of each vertical. Tape it in place between verticals near the top edge of the pool with small pieces of duct tape. Make sure you do not trim or cut off the excess liner. You'll find 4 top rails that are a slightly different shape from the other top rails. These transition rails are also marked underneath with a red dot. Place one end of a transition rail over a buttress and the other end over a regular vertical. At the end, which is over the buttress, fasten to the top plate through the holes marked B on the top plate, but do not tighten the screws completely. At the other end, over the vertical, fasten the rail to the top plate using the holes marked A, again not tightening the screws completely. Except for the end of the transition rails, which are fastened to a buttress, all other top rails are fastened to the top plates using the holes marked A. If your top plates are this style, just fasten each rail into the 2 holes provided. After you have put all the top rails in place, tighten all of the screws. Your pool will be equipped with top connectors to cover the gap between the ends of the top rails. Use the instructions which came with these top connectors to assemble and install them over each of the verticals. Your pool may also be equipped with foot covers for the base of the verticals. Again, use the specific instructions that came with these kits. Now fill your pool completely to within 2 inches or 5 centimeters of the lowest skimmer opening, and follow the instructions which came with your skimmer, pump, and filter kits. As an important safety measure, apply the 4 no diving, no jumping labels that have been supplied with your kit to the top rails. Spread them evenly around the pool. Post the vinyl safety sign that has also been supplied so that it is visible at the point of entry of your pool. Congratulations on your successful installation of a Gibraltar buttress-free oval pool from Atlantic Pools.